Hello, this is FG back with you for Anbennar. Today we are playing as Adshaw. And as Adshaw, there is a unique startup screen. You can read this if you would like. Alright. And we will go and we will disable the Serpent Spine, Fin Plains, Ahen, LS, North LS, and the Sarhall. Yeah, we want to keep the Deep Woods. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. And then we will go with Ibivar, perhaps. We can do this, and then we will also give free enterprise. And council. And oversight of the clergy. Good adventurers, we will give nothing, I suppose. Also hand out, just diplomats. Alright. Now we can do several of these. Royal marriage. Alright. We also want to group relations. Who do we want to go with? Let's go with Naval. That will be good. Alright, and we can do Frosty Reception. To our east lies the Lordship of Frostfall. In better times, it stood as a fortress overlooking the more prosperous cities along the coast, protecting the ports of the kingdom. Now, though, it is but a simple lordship ruled by a young fool of a lord and subject to the whims of Bavic's merchants. We may be able to use this to our advantage, however. Lord Coreg seems to be utterly infatuated with a member of our house. By betrothing them and forging closer bonds, we can gain his trust and gratitude, a first step in reclaiming our rightful territory. Alright. Now we need to do that. Also want to make sure we can get 50 ducats. We can do Rye Castle renovations. Alright. And in terms of alliances, Dervig, Dinsneck. Okay. Spy network. And we want to... Who could we potentially get? Armas. Let's do that. And we will rival Selendor. and Vermark and Bavic. Alright, Rye Castle renovations. The seat of our house has always been the great fortress of Rye Castle, built centuries ago by the Adder Kingdom. It has certainly seen better days, however. What was once a proud symbol of our royal might is now a decayed edifice to a glory long past. If we are to restore the power of Adshaw, Rye Castle must see extensive repairs. Will give us 6 development in our capital, which will be great. Need one more alliance. There and then... sure, we can improve relations. Just need any alliance at this moment. I will also fabricate spy network there. Really need to get to an offer. Shit. That fucking sucks. R2 under. We also have the Gerudian Tech Group. Alright, an offer. A few years ago, the Adshaw court was approached by a destitute merchant from Selimdor by the name of Derek Deland. His family, formerly influential fabric traders in the city, had fallen on hard times. He was of no use at that time and sent away. However, he seems to have found success advising the buffoon currently sitting on Gawed's throne, becoming quite influential and wealthy within the kingdom. Though he may still hold resentment towards us for our rejecting him, we may be able to appeal to his hatred of Selimdor to secure funding for our activities, as well as guarantee peace with Gawed for a few years. He and his family will be expecting repayment at some point, of course, either in crowns or the return of their properties in Selimdor, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. Alright, how long is this truce? 6 years. Not great. Right. That will definitely improve our ability to deal with things. In Vermark crisis. Alright. Spy network. Alright, times of need. Get some money. Helping hand. 10 free ducats. Alright. Vermark crisis. Right. Okay, we can't do that for a little while. Is there anything else we can do? Frost wall. Shit. Really wanted a spy network guy. Alright, the Vermark crisis. The border between our territory and that of Vermark has always been one of much dispute. The thicket of Adderwood can be confusing and disorienting, which has led to countless standoffs between hunters and guardsmen that accidentally wander across the border. While most of these encounters have ended peacefully, a large enough meeting of forces under the right circumstances could easily break the tension. It would only take a stray shot from either side to trigger a war. We would only need to ensure that they fire first. Do we have all the alliances we can have? How many men could order Algeresia muster? You know what? Let's try and do this. Where are we at? 3 at 4. Yep, we're taking this one. And we'll do that. Dervig, Theranon. Alright. The Huntsman. The court has long received word of a particular woodsman deep in the Great Woods, described as silent, stoic, and overall mysterious. He's slain a host of werewolves and other such beasts, merely accepting payment from villagers and rural lords before returning to the woods to continue his work. Though it seems this is not the limit of his capabilities, more discreet reports show several instances of rival lords taking each other into his grounds, ostensibly to hunt together and settle feuds, but only one returning, the mauled body of the other found years later. A man of his ability would be welcome in Rye Castle, and with a few contacts and proper payment promised, we can bring him into our service. Alright. Alright, so who are we at war with? Vermark. I am going to get one more infantry. And allow attach. Alright, so with this, we can now buy network. We need to do that. And solve it ourselves. Right, that is excellent. We do cold market. Alright. Take that as well. We would like to do that. And let's buy network. Alright, you know what? We're gonna do this. And buy network. We have a royal marriage with Dervig. We do not. Old to the touch. Korg and his beloved have already managed to produce a child, a scion of our family within the walls of Frostfall. Our courts have grown close, and many within the Frostfaller aristocracy have discussed the merits of the lordship becoming our vassal. However, while Korg remains on their throne, backed by Bavician crowns, they will never fully submit. Should he be removed, however... Right. Now we can build a spy network. Who are they attacking? Dinsneck. We can go into their infantry. Excellent. Oh. Emperor's already dead. Yep. Snake in the Bay. There once was a lord, young but unafraid. Though in the night he frequently prayed that he would sleep safe, that no assassin would wake him with fright, as one had his parents. When he was but a waif, he lay down to sleep. Tomorrow he would meet his betrothed, but he didn't realize he was not alone. A hiss, a scream, then little more. The young land would never speak another word. Ooh. And I will do spy on Bavic. I'm doing that anyways. Spy network. And then we'll go 1-2. The Renaissance. Huzzah! Alright. Just like that, we have now grown immensely. Who's Selimdor allied to Reek Spear? Let's have the land force on, and that should give me another 1 or 2. Another 1, but I'm gonna go with 2. Alright. There's that. Let's improve relations with Gwed. Just a little bit. Yeah, we want to do that. That's the only time I've ever actually used that spell. Alright, Viper of Rykastle. Lord Rykan Adshaw, the 4th Adshaw, also known as the Viper of Rykastle, has already done much to restore his lordship's influence over the Reach. Before even taking the throne, he spent much of his adult life gathering contacts and spies from Igar, Dal, and Kay, and even some beyond. His web of intrigue spans many kingdoms, duchies, lordships, and republics, and it would take but a word, a gesture, or even a look for his fangs to sink into anyone unfortunate enough to either earn his ire or lose their usefulness to him. Now, It is time to begin the reascension of Adshaw, and the Viper is more than ready to begin. Alright. That away. And we will build spy network right there. And all right. Take that, take that. Amulet, the Arched Thief. Alright. And welcome to another meeting. Right. Boundary dispute. Settle the issue, yeah. Alright. Breach Spear has long been a thorn in our side, extending Selmdor's influence to both sides of our lordship. While they rule themselves as a republic, there are many nobles still reigning in its hinterlands, with even more flooding in due to Bavic's recent conquest of their lands north and east. It wouldn't take much to bring them to rebellion. A few bribes, some promises of titles, and a couple agents implanted to whisper words of poison in their ears should be enough to turn them against the merchants. And when they do, we'll have forces ready to encourage the mayor to seek our protection, or the nobles themselves will turn the city over to us. Okay. They are now our vassal. Take that off. Right, and with that, I can now attack one of these guys. Sondor still has elven units. Vermark crisis. Bavic, battle for Bavic. Alright, we do have claims on all this stuff. I'm gonna declare war on Bavic. Do a reconquest of Mordal. And I want to actually put all my vassals on supportive. Alright, so we need to get, we're gonna annex Cold Market. Do that. Turn those two provinces and release Din's Neck. Alright, we got a good siege tick. Fall. Alright. And now I will begin the process of improving with my subjects. This is not defensive terrain, but I will deal with it. This guy right here. Also at war with Everwharf. We won't have to annex Everwharf. Crovis's adventure. He shall have the support of his homeland. Crovis's quest. The younger son of Lord Lycan, Crovis has always been an adventurous lad. He would stay up for hours listening to tales of grandeur and heroism, from legends about brave warriors rallying coastal villages to defend from reavers, to accounts of valiant woodsmen combating werewolves. He has certainly heard them all plenty of times. The stories told by his mother, however, have always grabbed his interest the most, particularly those detailing the fall of her family's kingdom, Vermark, to the Grey Orcs. Such details would cause him to quiet down the countless questions he would typically ask during the stories, absent as he listened with rapt attention. Thus it was one night a decade ago. His mother told him another story of the East, and he suddenly and proudly declared he would personally restore Vorenmarch, and that he would defeat the orcs and become a hero himself. But the lord and lady smiled at him and gave words of approval, assuming it was naive aspirations of a child that he would grow out of. However, in the time since, he's taken to training relentlessly with the marshals and guardsmen, venturing into the great woods with woodsmen to hone himself against the most ferocious beasts of the land. And now, as a strong, bold, grown man, he has presented himself before his father, Rykan, to announce his departure to the east, taking along with him a host of adventurers, mercenaries, and white reachmen refugees to make good on his word. Whatever the outcome of his quest, his name will surely be known across the Reach for centuries to come. We can only hope it is remembered fondly, that future generations can talk their children to sleep with tales of his victory. Oh. Alright. Sedvik. Alright, we're gonna have to go help them out in a little bit. Also, the woodsman died already. That really sucks. And I suppose that's all we actually need is siege pips and, what's it called? Denver Wharf. What's Frozen Maw's manpower looking like? Actually bad. Alright. Guys need to get back together. And Enver Wharf. And we're taking this. That. Alright. That means we don't take as many, what's it called? Alright. Quite as much aggressive expansion as what I think I was about to say before my brain stopped working. Alright, and we'll build a spy network here, and a spy network here. Pure plutocracy. Huh. We will do. Magnate privilege. It's the Magnate Council. Ooh, that's actually good. You know what? I will empower the Magnate Council. Nothing bad has ever happened when a nation has made their Magnate Council powerful. Right Castle, I'll do that. A little bit of extra cash. Do want to collect trade, and we'll transfer trade there. Right, this can go over to Foreign March. Right. Deed to Dinsneck. The spires of Dinsneck are almost visible from Rye Castle's walls, and long ago it served as a bridge between the royal seat and the prosperous harbor of Bavic. The founders of the city swore loyalty to the Adric Kingdom, the predecessors to modern Adshaw, though the documentation detailing this oath has long since been lost, believed to have been burnt to ashes during the Reachmen Rebellion. With a skilled forger and a steady hand, however, along with some pilfered seals and the appraisal of several prominent historians, we may be able to replicate a convincing copy, slightly singed, but perfectly legible. You know what, I want to make sure that I can get them. So we are going to actually, before we do that, with guarantee, we are going to improve relations with them, however. Right. And this can go over to Vornmarch. That is a really good general. Right. Sickness of the Lord. Ooh, we're benevolent. That's really good. Did give them the Magnate Council. Yes, I did. Final fight of the Scani. That. Alright, just so they can't run away in the future. Alright. That should be their army done for. Alright. Now, what I want to do is kind of just chill out. Here's our army organizer. Still under force limit because we took so much. This army... How long until we can annex them? 59... 59... 63... Dervig... Okay, that... Right, and I want to go deal with Vermark separatists. By want, I mean I need to deal with them. Wow. Foreign March are just helpful little guys. Okay, we gotta go back. Also, I want to get rid of, like, 4 of these guys. And call up the local adventurers. Okay. Big Vorn March. Right. Fate of the Valorous. Crovis' army has arrived in Isolde, and one way or the other, war will rage across the ruins of Old Vorn March. For the most part, we can only watch and hope that he succeeds, and provide refuge should he falter. The bold Prince Crovis has vanquished the Grey Orc, seizing Balvoran and Mammoth Hall and expelling them from Vorn March. He has been crowned King of the Voran, Sovereign of the White Reach, and his gratitude towards his homeland is readily evident as he gave a speech encouraging solidarity between Adshaw and Vormarch, advocating for a united future for the Hellenic Reach. The young lord is now king, and all in the north know his name. With his crowning, he is one of the most powerful individuals in the region, though he has far from forgotten his homeland. Our realms would make perfect allies, ruling the Reach jointly. So we now effectively control the Reach, Eskerborg, Sedvik, Rivsby are all vassals of Vornmarch. Excellent. And we will royal marry them. Call diplomat. Spy network on them. Our allies. Bjarnrik. And they have given us a lot of favors. We want a whole bunch of trust. How much? Alright, improved relations. We need to be freeing up some of these diplo slots quite badly. This should have been on an advancement effort a while ago. And the nobility will get strong duchies as well as ability integration. I'm going to develop that twice. Hang that off. Annex the Vassal. And then we want to like this. This time they just accept. It's great. And then we want to start improving relations there. Battle for Bavic. Our enmity towards Bavic is one born from their treachery and deceit. Through Maldorian would later help fund them. It was the avaricious traders of Bavic that first instigated the Reachman Rebellion and our kingdom's fall from grace, ushering in an era of disunity and chaos in the Reach. Our armies now march towards the city filled with pride at the idea of avenging centuries of Bavic men wrong. Bavic now lies in our hands. The mayor and his cabinet have been executed, and our soldiers now patrol the street day and night. It is time to finally find vengeance. Once everything of worth has been safely removed from the city and transported to the capital, our court shall gather in the highest towers of Rykastle and watch the flames on the horizon, knowing that justice has finally been served for the disloyalty. Alright, Rykastle is now huge. Yeah, tax. Alright. Within the majority of the Northern Greatwoods, with the majority of the Northern Greatwoods returned to our rule, the core of the Old Kingdom has been fully reclaimed. Rykastle is now safely guarded and supplied, and we can continue our grand return to greatness. Right. And we want to... we'll build a great palace as a little treat. Dinsneck is upset. Don't worry about that too much. And we will now... Wharf incidents. We will build full light ships. Right. Now we would like to rival Cylindor. Look at our little nephew. Proud uncle. I myself am an uncle. Kind of. Step sibling had children, so... Bavic men. And this can come off. Now let's rival Gowed, because fuck you, Gowed. And... Right. Until I can annex them. Offer them an alliance. They can go that way. I do need to dissolve that alliance. Right, good. Sure, we'll give them that. Yeah, we're going with espionage. Not too much of a, about, I just want this to be over with. Next them. Relations with them. Right. Right, and we also want to protect trade in the Bay of Chills. We'll also start annexing them. Here we are done. There. Now we're only losing 5 a month. Creation is a slow process. Obviously, we need to full state that. And we will also spy network there. Yeah, spy their businesses. Trade infrastructure. House of Worship in Rycast, I can do that. Reason against Adshaw. Yep. No, I don't want him to die yet. Sorry. I have played Adshaw before, but it's been quite a while. Are one of my more favorite nations. Simply because they have such a cool startup. You basically espionaging your way into, like, all of that stuff. These guys can come here, Din's Neck. Finally want to royal marry me. Banditry pays. Sure, we will do that. We will improve that one time, improve that a second time. And now the Magnates are happy. Galleys and a transport. Would have preferred trade ships. But that is fine. Champion of the Joust. Yes! Please don't be terrible. Whatever. Yeah, 15 corruption, I cannot do that. That's not reasonable. Alright, what's the damage? Oh, only one ducat. That's not terrible. Right. And to here to Adshaw. Ah, fine, whatever. Operations is a slow process. Right. They can go. These can also go. They can get a admiral. Alright, we're still a little bit over. That's okay. Spell spy network. How long until we can annex them? 71. Rent. Potentially, actually. Relations. Let them do as they wish. Right. Alright. Everwharf Incident. The distinctive warships of Everwharf, maroon-hulled and yellow-sailed, are a common sight in the Bay of Chills. They patrol the bay, relentlessly hunting pirates and reavers to keep it clear for merchants. They have been known to be particularly zealous, however. On more than one occasion, an Everwharf ship has attacked a reputable tradesman, believing they were Garudian raiders. With the Grey Tide in the east, they've been even more on edge. It wouldn't be too difficult to disguise some of our vessels and order them to sink a few others, all within sight of the city, and some particularly attentive eyewitnesses. With such an attack on our sovereignty cited and spoken about, it would only be right for us to demand justice from Everwharf. Right. We'll actually come this way. I can do that. Right. Maybe we don't stop that. Stop that. Right, and we can do Lord of the Western Chills. The banner of Adshaw once again flies free over the frigid seas of the Bay of Chills, a sight that hasn't been seen since the elves landed in the west. With access to the seas obtained, this is a great step towards restoring Adshaw's rule over the Reach. Right. And then Chills Bay Dockyards, which we don't need to do. And I can now go declare war on Selimdor. Right, Selimdor, let's declare for Selimdor. All Vermark in, obviously. You know what? I am. Oh, I really care about this. Yeah, I kind of do. I'll call them in after I've occupied everything. Right, game. You good? Alright. Right. And we are going to declare on Selimdor. Or Selimdor. Now I want to keep sieging that. And then... out of the nobility. And then we will obviously call them to arms. Ooh, that is way too many heavy ships. Alright. I'm gonna do something real quick. Problem fixed. Right. Now, going up over here. Likewise, Nimscott is behind me. Alright. Risk expansion impact. Alright, Nimscott. Get out of my war. And everyone else. That. Right. Adshaw Kingdom restored. Its loyalty is 60 or greater. kick towards 60. The Navy, no. Tax income. Do that. Right. And then we want to do this and protect trade in the Bay of Chills. And this army will obviously need to deal with any sort of separatists that may come around. And area. This will need to be developed. Oh, it's to land. I will not develop that then. Nice. Need to accept the Bully Reachman. There's not a huge amount of old Olenic nations. In fact, there's only actually one other old Olenic nation. The Reckoning. The Royal Capital. Need to save that for later. So I'm not going to take that mission right now, because I would prefer to develop it until I can get the 12 to push it up to 35 development. Right, Laurent. Thanks for the alliance. That should almost permanently prevent the perfidious Goettes from attacking us. You know what? I will do that, and that, and that. Because we are making so much money, increases gnomish tolerance. Gnomes are not in Bavic. Where are the gnomes? Skellimdor? No. Yes, over here. Right. This needs to get full cord and put on encourage development. Right. So it needs to be how much? This will get 12. Yeah. One more. Alright. Selimdor, that city of interlopers, rats, fiends, is finally in our hands. The elves of the city, brought by that Cretan Maldorian, were a key part of our fall from grace, assisting the disloyal vassals in their rebellion and partitioning the kingdom. Now it is time for retribution. All here shall be reduced to ash, from the Icewind Palace housing their treacherous rulership to the ark that brought them here, docked within their unfinished harbor. Right. And we can get the Serpent's Maw. Our rule finally returned to the furthest western lanes of the Reach, and the waters of the Northern Thaw once again break upon the shores bearing Adshaw's flag. With the elves of Selimdor punished and the Serpent Knights subjugated, our quest to restore the kingdom seems ever closer to being accomplished. Alright. Now I need a temple right here. Magnates will be oiled shortly. Right, we now have one. These have all become blue Reachmen as well, which is great. I'm not sure if this was blue Reachman before, but it is now. And we also would like this to be built there. And I will build... where is it? Private trade fleets. Yes, there it is. Still hold. Let's go with 4. And then do that. Right. Selimdor. That. Skarhildic Faith is rough. And I will annex them. Warren March, Frozen, all good. We'll deal with that little buddy. Alright. Representatives of the Crown, decentralized bureaucracy. Yep. Seems right. These 4 come right here and put together and protect trade in the Bay of Chills. And this will go to Born March. Eric Exodus. Whatever. We paid those loans off first. Royal Capital. Before Maldorian's arrival, Deland was a rapidly growing port in the Western Reach, destined to become the shining jewel of the Serpent's Head. It was neglected by the elves, though, and several years of indifference and raids from kobolds have reduced it to a shadow of its former self. With material taken from the rooms of Selimdor, we can restore it to prominence, establishing a proper and prosperous capital for our restored kingdom. Alright, we can get Return of the King. From the pristine palace of Rygensed to the frosty docks of Everworth, the flag of Adshaw flies once again, proud over the entirety of the Western Reach. Cities thrive and prosper as we finally experience a unity not seen in these lands for centuries, ever since our kingdom was shattered by rebels and leeches. A king has been crowned in the Reach, a kingdom restored. May it never fall again. Derek. The issue of the Delan family has come up among our court, namely the debt the crown owes to them. It would be highly inconvenient for those of the throne to be indebted as such towards a relatively minor family. Not only is it a stain on our prestige, but it can easily be taken as favoritism. Despite this, we simply cannot remove them without reason, so we'll manufacture one. A few scandals, some drunken liaisons, more than a few assassinations, and we'll be able to wipe our hands of these wretches. Perhaps we'll be able to earn our money back from seizing the holdings while we're at it. Alright, go ahead and pay those loans off. Now to name excellent position. Right, you're good. Build one right there. Integration is a slow process. What is this? 2 infantry. We'll just save the money. Do that. Alright. A nice, powerful kingdom. Really want to do that. Dockyards. Is it? Alright, just need 2 with a dock. Right. And we can also build a few more, and then we'll build, how much are these? Half a ducat a month. Yeah, 4. And then the rest can be galleys. Yeah, we're spending all of that money on the Adshaw fleet. Alright. Death Adders. Need to get more people in on this war. Yeah, they hate them. There's still an emperor. Yeah, that can come off. Yeah, that can come off. Terms of claims, have quite a few on the web. Okay, I'll take that. I will also put the spy network here. That's really good. Chills Bay Dockyards. We haven't had a coast or a navy in quite some time. With the acquisition of shipbuilding facilities in the Bay of Chills, we can work towards restoring the naval superiority Adshaw had in the days of old. Alright, all of these can join together. And tech trade in Bay of Chills. I want my trade capital to be there, though. Just need more points. cost to fabricate claims in all of those areas. March. Alright, need this done. Military tech. And we need another infantry, royal marriage, earn more rent. If we're friendly. Right, these are all the combat ships. Seamen, yeah. Funny. And they can get mothballed. And I want to build healthy amount of galleys. Go alongside our fleet. Wax. Alright. Don't want that. The Death Adders. Our recent reascension to power would not have been possible without our eyes, ears, and blades in the dark. A secretive cabal of agents organized by the Viper of Rykastle himself. Not only will they be awarded for their services, our Spymaster has orders to gather them into a united web of intrigue to serve the crown for centuries to come. Silently enforcing our will, they've chosen an apt name for themselves, the Death Adders. And we want to fabricate claim on Alanvord. Gives us a whole bunch of claims. So really just want to be having, what's it called? That would make me very happy. And we'll bring them all over this way. Right. Got a nice big combat fleet. That should be enough to fight pretty much anyone that we will deal with. Now we'll go with the Merchant Navy. Nice big port here as well. The Reach Fleet. Giant's Manse. Where's the Giant's Manse? Oh, it's literally just this one province. Huh. Okay. Right. Balboard. Right. Need the old man to die at some point. That. I'm gonna save this for when I actually need a captain. Okay, so hypothetically now, definitely do that. March, the Reach United. Need this really badly. Game, just give it to me. It's nope, Crovis is dead. Live Croven. No, that can't be one. Need one. Build on a Rye Castle. Competent court. Right. And this is also too valuable to pass up. Just make the Magnates upset at us. Do that. Supply depot. And then we want to go with... Yep. And siege ability. And then we will go... The Magnates of Adshaw are some of the most influential forces in our lordship. Their dominance over the lumber and fur trade frequently allows them to live like nobles. However, or perhaps due to this, there have been many disputes between them and the actual nobility, as their operations encroach on lands not strictly belonging to them, where their excess wealth is siphoned off by taxes and fines. By passing out a few noble titles and land grants to the magnates, we can resolve these issues and greatly increase our efficiency of goods production in the Great Woods. Though the current nobility might be displeased by the introduction of these so-called timber barons. Timber barons, what does this do? I assume this is yes. Magnates. Let's dust them off with that. Alright. We now have pretty obscenely low development costs. And we can do Tempting the Wolf. The Goetti Great Woods are populated by a variety of peoples descended from smaller Hellenic tribes conquered by the Goetti centuries ago, and though we may have little in common, we share some level of kinship as forgotten Allans, forever trapped in the shadow of the Eagle. Until now, that is. It is time for the Allans of the Great Marches to shed the weight of Goed's iron grasp and join us in forging a greater kingdom. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, that does nothing besides... doesn't actually do anything. Fantastic. New king. New heir! Excellent. Alright. He is a bold fighter. And I am actually going to go with Minara, because we are about to conquer some stuff. Alright, and I want to go for Legion's Clearing. Alright. We are going to have to be very skittish for a little while. Speaking of, do that. Already got that. No marriage with them. Alright. Fleet needs to come this way. Blockade them in. Go to me. Excellent. Alright, so I definitely want those. Want those. Also love some money, to be perfectly honest. What I want to do with Laurent. Didn't really mean to fight on their capital, but how it turned out, so that's okay. Iscan stands. Huzzah. Celebration of that, I will take some development. Or not some development, but some stability. Alright. And Laurent will probably appreciate this. 9 favors. 9 favors and 50 trust. 2. Nine favors and 50 trust. That's gonna be perfect. Agriculture. Alright, Laurent, we really need your help. Fortnam. Right, thank you. Right, thank fucking God we have an actual decent general. That did have the intended effect. This needs defensive edict. Are you not going to do anything about that, Galed? Aggregate Odic Exodus. Also, cultural borders are looking very pretty. More stinky orcs. Terric Exodus. Alright. Get the province. We aren't equal, but they have better quality. Rear, yep, take that. And we'll do that. I want all of those provinces, though. Alright. We could take tech, fortunately. Alright. Don't even want this province. Alright, so we want these, and those, and that, and actually war reps, preferably. Great money. Faceting. We like the Magnates more. Now I can fabricate claim on Valvord, I think. Yes. Not. Alright, it wants me to release Great Marches, which I won't do, but... Well, I will do, but... Yeah, I'm just gonna release Great Marches from... whatever shitty province. Like Old Temple. Or not. Yep, take this, this. And then I want East Province. Actually, I won't take those. I will take this and this. Objective will be to take provinces, release the nations out of them. This will be a literal lance in the heart of the web. Shall escort them safely to their new home. I want to be dealing with the Ascani refugees, to be perfectly honest. Right. Can I take Reach Fleet? No, don't want that. Diplomats can surely learn. Helping hand, huzzah! Right, and then we do this. Right. And just like that, we will spit out Westmore's and Great March. Right, and then we can do that, and we can go to our nobility. Strong duchies, go to integration policy for later. And we can go with Storming the Heights. West of the Reach lies the Cotteron Heights, once a core part of the gnomish hierarchy. Long has it been infested with kobolds. They tend to stay in their tunnels and cliffs, zealously attacking any that step foot in the heights. Though they do send raids for treasure to add to their hoard every now and then. For the most part, these excursions are of little concern. A village or two and some relatively worthless baubles aren't worth sending an armed force to deal with. However, with Rygensed so close to their domain, concerns have been raised about its security. Our armies must march on the Greenscales to ensure the safety of the royal capital. The tribes of the Greenscales have been broken by our forces, driven out of their tunnels and into our blades. The royal banner now flies proudly over the highlands, though we still need to decide what is to be done with the inhabitants that still remain. A new settlement will be built to house them. And we will do this. Actually, it brings them back into existence. It's fun. Gawed and Nimscod. Right. Next war, we are going to absolutely devastate Gawed. It's going to be great. But I do think that will be it for this episode. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.